Okay, so this once was somebody's lawn clippings.
Yes, every pile here.
Now, in the cities, when they pick up the green cans, they come here.
First they go to our transfer station
Right.
to be sorted, and then it all comes out here.
Now, how long does it sit here?
Anywhere from 12 to 18 months.
And
It's different because we will screen a whole year's batch throughout the summer. So it'll sit for a year, and then we'll start screening. And then throughout the summer, we'll screen, well, from now all the way through the summer. These piles here on our right are our newest. They're just hitting the ground yesterday. Several of those hit the ground.
I notice there's numbers on some of the things.
We have some regulations that we have to abide by, which is PFRPs. We have to make sure the internal temperature comes up high enough for a certain amount of time to kill all the weed seeds, all harmful pathogens if somebody happens to put doggy bags in.
Ooh.
So we actually cook all of that out.
Okay, so it has to basically sit here through at least one season.
Well, it's not that. PFRP can be reached in 14 days.
Whoa.
If the internal temperature gets up to 131 degrees.
Now, dumb question, do you track that internal
We do.
temperature?
That's our numbers on this.
Oh, okay.
So every windrow, after it's completed, will get its own number. And then we'll go from one number to the next. Then we'll start over again.
And then how do you check the temperature?
During PFRPs, the first 2 weeks, every day, we take 6 readings through the middle of each one of these windrows.
And what do you use to take the readings with?
We have a digital data logger. So it's got a 4-foot long probe that'll go into the middle, and it'll track the temperature and log it automatically. So then we can download it onto our computer.
And a part of your job is looking at those numbers and making...
Yes. In fact, Max, who runs the site out here, once a month will come around and draw a map for me of every windrow, and we keep track of all the numbers. And we're looking at some new software that will track it by not only numbers, but by temperature and by color. So we can look at a color of a windrow and see where it is and where it's been. So in the first 14 days, we'll turn it a few times, I believe up to 5 times. And then after that, we take temperatures once a week, I'm sorry. Once a week we take temperatures. So we'll do the same thing, 6 temperatures once a week.
But in essence, that first 2 weeks has established that it's okay to go with the flow.
Yeah, and you know, it's a time and temperature. If you have a lower temperature, it takes longer to do it. If you have a higher temperature, you can reach PFRP in 3 days.
And what does PFRP stand for?
It's a process to further reduce pathogens. So the pathogens are the harmful. Open up a windrow and turn it. We smell it, we feel it, we know where it's at. So if it needs a little more moisture, we might add
Now,
it.
how do you do that? There's water, obviously, but big sprinkler system?
Yeah, this isn't our sprinkler water. We have several types of irrigation. We have sprinklers that'll go on top. We also have a drip irrigation that works pretty well for us. This is our runoff water. We actually sprinkle this with irrigation water from the irrigation canal. So we have a separate pond down the hill farther that we can get our fresh water from to put back on. We capture all of our runoff water and keep it on site. So anything that rains on here will run into the pond and we'll keep it.
Now, how did you get involved with it?
I worked part-time in high school in the summertime, and then I worked a little bit through college. This is my 3rd time working with the company. I've gone off and done construction and went off and flew for a year and did a few other things. And piles here, the darker the pile means it's been here long. So it starts out really light, it gets darker as it goes. These will be our next piles to screen early this spring.
Now, how many, in general, workers are on this site at any time?
1 to 1.5.
Really?
Yeah. Very efficient.
Wow.
He does a great job out here. His name is Max, and we couldn't do this without him.
Okay, now that says it's screened.
Yes.
That little pile there. What does that mean?
That was screened last year. That means it's ready to sell.
It's all right. So all that needs to be done with it now is bagged.
Load it onto a truck or bagged.
Okay.
These bags over here are totes.
Ah.
So we will also sell it by the 2-yard tote. And we sell those generally to organics stores.
And so then these will be shipped out to somebody in Southwest Washington,
Yeah, this one goes to Northern California.
and they will in turn repackage it.
Put it right into their bags. Mix it with maybe peat moss, maybe some stones, maybe some pumice, and make a blend with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then they'll sell it as their own blend. Yeah, there's a lot of different uses.
How do you get the word out to the organic farming community that you can do this for them?
Every outlet we have, we try. We just changed our logo, so we've only been in sales a year and a half now. We used to wholesale everything we had to one customer, and recently we're actually having to go out and sell. So we're learning.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some print ads that they're working on right now, some flyers, some email. I make phone calls. We go out and talk to people. We're just doing everything we can. I'll find a list and I'll look things up online and send an email out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind if I come out and visit with you? This is our screen here. This is what we screen all the compost with.
Okay, now you load this up with,
So our older stuff,
okay,
and it's the stuff that was made last year, and it's been turning and
okay.
breaking down.
Now this looks like a miniature dump truck.
It kind of
Is it that concept?
We'll load the compost into the bucket of that loader.
Okay.
We'll drive it up the ramp and dump it in the top here. We have a hopper on top with a rubber belt.
Mm-hmm.
Slowly that rubber belt will move over. The part up here that says Warrior 1400 is a shaker. So when this is going, the whole thing's vibrating over the screens. The compost will drop onto that. Anything we want to capture will drop through the bottom and come out this side.
Oh, okay.
Anything we don't want, stones, bigger pieces of wood, goes out our overside. We have a vacuum on this, so if there is any plastic that gets through, we try and vacuum it up at the end as well. So it's not just picking it up by hand.
And what happens to the rejects?
That we are setting up to be reused. So we can put the rejects at the bottom of our next year's product and use it for aeration. Yeah, so we're trying to use everything we have up here. If there's rock in it, if there's too much garbage in it, we may have to get rid of it. But we can almost reuse everything.
Now, this has to have an effect on the environment and the ecology because of things like adding water, adding moisture, doing different things in here.
If it's too dry, the microbes won't work and won't make compost. And one of my instructors gave a pretty good analogy. He said, you think of compost like a football stadium. You put 60,000 people in a stadium. If you give them a hot dog, if you give them a beer, and you keep it cool enough in there, they're going to be happy and they're going to cheer for their team. If you don't feed them, if they don't get any moisture, and the air conditioning goes off and it's 100 degrees, they're not going to be that happy. And that's pretty much what microbes are. So if we can keep the right moisture, microbes move on moisture. So if there's moisture on a leaf, a microbe will move to the leaf, will divide, and then move to another leaf through the water. So that's really all we do with the water, is to keep the microbes happy. Turning it will cool the compost down as it's making. So we'll have a big pile and it might be 140, 150 degrees.
Okay, now how is this different other than in size to a backyard composter?
It's the exact same thing. We're all doing the same thing. Everybody can make compost. It's just the speed, the size.
Knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, see, and that's an important tie to my readers. It's like if you got your backyard compost, you can really relate to this book.
backyard composters are fantastic.
Okay, so that is strictly landfill. That also comes from the transfer station?
It comes from all over. We are a regional landfill.
Regional, okay. And so that encompasses what kind of area?
From the coast,
Okay.
north a ways, Grants Pass, us,
broke
Northern
down.
California,
How far south? Wairika?
I believe Wairika, yes.
Wairika. So each of those places send their trucks here with stuff for the landfill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then what happens to it?
Then it gets compacted and buried.
So it's, everything there will just be buried.
Yes.
And what is the covering made out of?
That is a temporary vinyl-like covering because eventually we will have more trash coming over the top of that. So they can take that off and then add to it. That is just a part-time structure there.
Okay, so I'm thinking, what is the bottom line with all this trash?
Oh, there's 6 to 8 feet of liners and rock. It's very advanced.
But what are we going to do with it? Just stay there forever?
For right now, yes, until somebody finds a way to do something with it. That's why, like you were talking about our company being so forward-thinking, that's why they work so hard to take as much out of the stream before it comes here as possible. From commingle to glass to cardboard to plastic. They try and get everything out they can and educate the public as much as they can about here's where you can recycle.
Because unless we figure out what to do with that, that's going to be a 2-mile-high mountain in 10 years.
No, it actually won't. They've figured out it won't be as high as those towers over there.
Well, that's good.
In 75 years. They have the engineering down.
We have
very
the
precise.
technology.
Yes.
All right, now, other question. I had heard that somehow you sold energy for electricity.
Yes, we do. We actually take methane gas out of the landfill.
Oh, good.
So anything that's rotting and decaying that produces methane, we can capture that and produce electricity with big diesel generators.
Okay, so, and is that done here?
It is. In fact, we just drove right by it. That's how clean and quiet it is. We're producing enough electricity for around 3,000 homes out of a building we just drove by. It's a very clean energy source.
So, but you sell it to the power company.
Yes. Anybody can sell power to the power company. You can put a solar panel on your house and sell it back to the power company. And it goes right back through a meter. They have special meters. So, anybody can do it on a small scale. We do it on a little bit larger scale.
So the generator whips out the methane, pops it through this little diesel goodie, turns it into electricity, sells it to the power company. It's gone.
Yes.
That
And
easy.
then it goes right to homes. Yeah, right back through the power lines.
It's all very, very, very interesting.
Yeah. And that, again, that comes right from the owners of this company. That's something that they've been working on for a long time.
So all the efforts that are put forth for the environment, for our community, comes from the owners.
Yes, directly. They are very involved.